Hey everybody, Joe here. I'm back again, and it's the first Wednesday of a brand new month. You already know what that means. It's time for some pickups. What did I get in the month of April? Let me show you. Before I get into the pickups, I had plans to put together a little bit of a bonus video of sorts between my previous one, the Retro Game Treasure video, and then this one, which was supposed to be a game hunting video of sorts. I've been trying to record myself with my phone as I walk around the flea market the last 3 weeks. And it's funny, got plenty of B-roll of me walking around the flea market, but not enough of the meat and potatoes. Not enough of me digging through game boxes and stuff like that, or looking at games on people's tables, which really makes it so it's not a very fun video, what I have. So until I'm happy with it, this is getting delayed a few weeks, maybe a month, maybe more. So until then, keep an eye out. I might get you something, but let me just show you. Most of the stuff that I got here is from the flea market. The last, well, it was supposed to start the first Sunday in April, but that didn't happen. It was rained out. Then, of course, they didn't have the flea market on Easter Sunday, so 3 weeks of flea market hunting, and all 3 weeks I found some decent stuff. Let me go into week one. Week one was actually the best week of the bunch. Got some Genesis games here, and actually one's a 32X game, which I will be showing you, and a couple of disc titles here. We've got SmackDown vs. Raw 2009. Got a copy of Endless Ocean for the Wii. I've actually heard this is kind of interesting. I know, I think the one Game Grumps video was like over an hour long when they played this, and RGT85 says it's kind of a fun, chill thing to play. And then I got Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. And now let's get into the Genesis games, and the 132X game. This is some premium stuff. The guy who had these, he actually had more uncommon Genesis stuff, or at least Genesis stuff I had not seen out in the wild before. And I wanted to buy more, but I figured, you know what? Let's just not go completely apeshit and blow all the money I had. You know, I still, needed cash for the week, buy lunch or whatever at work. Anyway, let's see here. We've got, the first game we have here is called Saint Sword. Then we've got Vapor Trail. Some of these are a little bit rough. I mean, they're in flea market shape, but they are still fairly uncommon titles. Here's Shadow Dancer. It's a Shinobi sequel of sorts, or is it a spin-off? Something like that. And then we've got Rolling Thunder 2, while we're on the subject of sequels. And then here is something called Shadow Blaster. Not familiar with that either. Looking forward to checking these guys out. And this is Kadash, I believe is how that's pronounced. And that 32X game in question is a copy of WrestleMania, the arcade game. I will flat out tell you how much I paid. That week, I spent $40. Those 3 disc games, I bought them 3 for $10 from one vendor, and then all the Sega titles were from another vendor. He says he usually does $5 each on his games, and I came with those 7, and he said, I'll just charge you $30. So he basically threw me a free game on that. And I don't think I need to tell you what the values are on some of these, because there's a few pretty uncommon things. I think a loose one of the WrestleMania the arcade game is like almost a $50 game, if I'm not mistaken. At least the 32X version. And now let's get into week 2 of the flea market. Week 2, I really was about to leave, kind of disappointed, until I walked across the table, which had some Atari games laying on it, I should have just asked if they'd give me the whole pile for like 20 or something like that, but I just decided to just cherry pick the ones I wanted. I paid $5 for these 6 Atari games, which, you know, if you're getting them for anywhere close to $1, you're getting a deal. And we've got the Sears Telegames version of 3D Tic-Tac-Toe. See, Sears Telegames. I have the regular Atari version, but some cases I do grab a few label variants and whatnot. And here is Night Drivers Telegames variant. Next up, we've got the plain text version of Othello. I actually don't have any version of Othello, so that is pretty darn cool. Then this one's another label variant. I have the blue text label of bowling, and now I have the red text label for bowling. That's another thing about like going for a complete Atari 2600 set. It's impossible because certain games were made in such limited quantities, and then there's all these freaking label variants. I mean, you'll get blue text, you'll get red text, you'll get picture label, you'll get no picture. And then, of course, you know, this being bowling, I had to grab the variant, especially since, you know, me and bowling games, I'm kind of nuts about collecting them. That and wrestling games. You'll see a couple more in my pickups today. And then these next two, these are a couple of Parker Brothers Atari games, which I don't have and actually been on the lookout for. First is Super Cobra. And this is one of those ones I never owned as a kid. I never played it. All I ever knew about it was the freaking ad on the back of comic books back when I was little. And it just, you know, looked cool. I'm kind of a mark for ancient mythology and stuff like that, and Egyptian shit is neat. So, this is Tutankhamun. Yes, I don't think they could fit Tutankhamun on their font, so they just called it Tutankhamun. I believe that's the story, at least that's what I'm sticking to. Alright, before I get into that week, after I left the flea market, I was, you know, walking down. I was gonna pick up some soft pretzels, and on my way from the flea market to the shop where I pick up soft pretzels, there is a Five Below in between. And if you haven't heard, Star Fox Zero with the bonus game, there are a bunch of these out there showing up at Five Below and even other places for possibly even cheaper. So this, which was a $30 game new, these are going for $5 or less if you keep your eyes open now. I'm going to show you some other stuff before I get into the third week of the flea market. And this is the makeup game, let's call it, from Video Games Monthly. If you didn't watch my previous Video Games Monthly for the month of April, or the month of March for that matter, both months back to back, VGM, they dunced it. They botched their box for me. I'm subscribed for $4 a month, and with their little one-up card, I was supposed to get 5 games. They did it in March, and then they made up for it. They did it in April, they made up for it. And the makeup game is Art of Fighting on the Super Nintendo. Not a valuable game, but not a bad game either. So that is pretty cool. And then I've got some little NES filler that I picked up. People may wonder, you know, I'm always buying NES games. I'm, you know, well over 400 at this point. Probably maybe about 410, 415, maybe even 420. When is it going to stop? It's not going to stop. I'm not saying I'm after a complete set. I don't think in a million years I'm going to be able to afford some of the higher end games for the NES. But you know what? I'm going to keep on buying, keep on collecting it until the games are out of my price range. That's where I'm going to stop. So here is a little bit of filler from the NES collection. And we've got Goal. Told you, filler. Magic's Fast Break. Oh. Side Pocket. Sesame Street 1, 2, 3. Like I said, filler. Breakthrough. This is one I actually thought I had, but I didn't. And that actually might be a decent game. And I'm pretty sure this one's fairly decent too. That is Vindicators. One of these subsets of NES collecting that I'm looking to get and complete is all of the Tengen titles. There were 20 of them. At least all the unlicensed Tengen titles. But enough of that. Let's finish up the pickups here with the third and final week of my flea market hunting. And this is probably the least interesting pile, but these were $2 a piece, so that is not bad. And we've got Road Rash 3D. This game's got a little bite taken out of the box, but I can always swap that with something else. That's SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. Like I said, wrestling games are another thing that I collect. And you'll see here I've got SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 here too. And then we've got some fighting titles here. I don't really collect fighting games or as big on fighting games as I used to be. But, you know, I like to grab a couple every now and then, especially when I see one interesting like Tekken Tag Tournament. And the last game I'm showing you today is Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. You know, I like the modern Mortal Kombat games. I haven't gotten the new one yet. I'm holding out and waiting for a complete edition. I did buy Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat X, but I eventually did buy XL too, so I'm not going to double dip this time around. I am just going to wait it out for a complete edition, and that's what I'm going to do. All in all, I think I did pretty darn good. The flea market games, I spent $55 at the flea market over the course of the 3 trips that I made, and then the NES games, that was a gift card from like credit card rewards, so I didn't even spend money on them. $5 at Five Below plus tax for the Star Fox game, so really out of pocket was only around $60 and change for all the games that I showed you today. I think I did damn good. Do you agree? Leave a comment down below. Hell, let's do that gimmick. I don't know. Anyway, that wraps it up. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Take care.